Great. So this is the first time in which we, as Studio Bertaggia, will be collaborating with one of our many partners around the world. This is the very first time in which we have our partner in Kenya, Alex, who will tell us very briefly about his background, his expertise, and then we'll move on to a short discussion about why Kenya is important to us. Alex, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Gus. My name is Alex Rienye. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I'm a lawyer. I practice in Kenya in a wide spectrum of practice. I practice in the name and style of GMR Advocates. We are based in Nairobi. However, we have branch offices in Kiambu town, Githunguri town, and Nyahururu town in Kenya. So we have a good access of all major towns and cities in the country. And let's talk about Kenya.
Yes, lovely. Well, excellent. Well, you gave us a very good description of what you guys do, where you're based, and this is, of course, crucial because when we're working with a place that we ourselves are not there physically, having partners like yourself is of the utmost importance. So, looking at Kenya as a jurisdiction, as a place to do business, it has become more and more interesting, more and more scintillating as a destination in the last 10 years, I would say. Would you be able to shed some light and perhaps explain to us why Kenya has become more and more interesting and what the prospects might be?
Thank you. Great. Well, first of all, let me begin by saying Kenya is located in East Africa. It's the biggest economy in East Africa and one of the largest economies in Africa. Something interesting about Kenya is its growth in terms of governance. It's interesting to know that Kenya is one of the few countries in Africa that has never had a military takeover of its government. It has grown as a democracy. And since 2010, Kenya enacted one of the world's most progressive constitutions. I dare say that Kenya's constitution beats some of the constitutions in Europe and the Americas in terms of progressiveness, and that has established a very good socio-economic environment in Kenya. So that has also created a relative stability in terms of politics and governance in Kenya, and I would say that will help any investor. And something interesting about our constitution is its protection of the right to property. Our human rights law recognizes every individual's right to property, whether you're Kenyan or whether you're not Kenyan. It protects your investment. Secondly, is that the judicial system in Kenya is very advanced, very robust, and very independent. Interesting fact, Kenya's judiciary is the first judiciary in Africa to nullify a presidential election. I don't know, it's very few countries, not only in Africa, even in the entire Western world that have done that.
That's very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
The independence of our judiciary. So that is something that is very unique about Kenya. We have a very independent and robust legal system that protects everyone's rights, both foreigners and Kenyans. Something else that is unique about Kenya is our population is very young and also very friendly and very curious. So we tend to welcome people a lot. Kenyans are very welcoming. You wouldn't find hostility. There are other countries that are sort of right now having a very a huge debate about immigration. So here in Kenya, we don't have that debate. We are not saying that we don't want immigrants. There is no xenophobia in Kenya. So you'll find a very welcoming population. You will feel safe. No one is against immigration here in Kenya. And our president is on the record that the recent UN General Assembly and in other engagements, they are saying they're exploring visa-free travel to Kenya for almost everyone. So that is another very interesting prospect. We might have visa-free access to Kenya or visa on arrival for
That's
purposes of those.
fantastic. That makes things very easy. Exactly. Yeah, it makes it very easy for any prospective investor to come, travel, to visit and see things firsthand. This is fantastic. And allow me to interject very briefly, because you have just mentioned some of the things that are key. We see sometimes jurisdictions, other countries that are very beautiful, very attractive in terms of their potential investment, but a weak judiciary and a weak sense of governance makes us less willing to want to go and invest in those countries. So it is very worth highlighting that you guys have this very strong system that is at the basis of everything that one might be able to build in Kenya. Now, taking it a little step forward and thinking about the judiciary and the government as being the basis for any healthy growth, of course, having as a target market a very young, healthy population, which is friendly, open, and welcoming. Would you say that there are some areas of business that are more easy to develop in Kenya than others?
Yes, of course. I wouldn't say they are easy than others. What I have observed about Kenya is that it's the land of opportunity. If I will speak, but of course, because of the trends in the world, there are others that are, we could say, more popular areas to invest, and this is in terms of how the economic trajectory. If I give you some examples, is that sometime I think in 2007 there was good internet connectivity. The internet infrastructure became so advanced. We have one of the highest internet speeds in Africa. So that means that most people invested in the technology area. So you will see a lot of startups in fintech, mobile communications, internet companies. There is a lot of startups in that area since 2007, and that was informed by the expanded internet infrastructure. Then now there is also a lot of growing investments in the financial sector. We have micro lenders. We have people who are investing in micro lending. Now, moving away from traditional banking, so we have a lot of micro lending and mobile lending. We have a lot of lending apps. Then the next big space, now this is a new space now that is growing, is manufacturing. We have automobile manufacturing, especially right now the environment is, the manufacturing environment is going to electric cars, hybrid cars. We have a lot of automobile manufacturers setting up shop, and solar equipment, energy production. That is another area that is growing, and it's just growing organically. Then the other big space is agriculture and agro processing. That one is also growing, and there is a lot of subsidies and incentives from the government in terms for agricultural and agro-based industry, and probably because of the need for the government to ensure that there is food stability and sustainability. So that is a growing area. So in terms of investments, I think we are in a situation where we can comfortably say that there is no sacred cow, no preferred area. It's so diverse. What sells is the uniqueness and the problem solved, and you're good to go.
Perfect. Well, this is excellent, because what you have given us is a beautiful panoramic view of what we may be able to do in Kenya. Of course, when you think about, or when one thinks about starting a business, starting any sort of activity, any foreign territory, in this case specifically Kenya, one wants to feel protected, one wants to feel welcome, and also clearly knowing what a growth path might be. What we will do, Alex and I, in the next couple of webinars, will be focusing on these key areas of growth that we have in Kenya, from the financial sector to IT, and lastly to agriculture, as I said. And of course, giving us a solid background of what we have in the judicial sector, of what we have in the economic sector, and of what we have also in terms of opportunities that might be an easy access key for any foreign investors. So this is from us, Alex and I. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll be with you very, very shortly in a week's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.